English Schools Cross Country Cup career. With I don't believe it's a medal, I believe it's a certificate they win here, so to win with an English Schools certificate.
For those of you who want pictures of today's event,
you know, those certificates will be getting the names embossed on, though, in probably a nice pen, some nice handwriting. They're given to the athletes plain, and then they get to write their own name on it.
And of course,
and then they'll be getting framed.
Potentially given to them by an Olympian, I'm hearing. Not quite sure who that could be, we'll find out later. But we're on to the senior boys cross country. That nervous moment we've spoken about in that holding pen before they got brought out to the start line pens, coincidentally called the same thing, just to make our lives harder. So you can see from above how many athletes are on that start line, how busy it is. If those pens weren't there, that would be carnage. Wrestling to get to the front row, getting held behind the start line. Normally a rope across, and the rope's all jagged from where people are trying to get a little bit of a head start. But as we can see, the pen system being used here.
And it works really well, doesn't it? These individual pens for the individual schools, in this case, clubs in the English schools and, well, regions that you're representing. It just works quite well to kind of dull that adrenaline that a lot of the athletes are feeling. You know, if they're in a pen with their teammates, with familiar faces, it calms them down when, you know, in other cases, in other races, they're maybe the only person they know on the start line, or they're looking around and there's that anxious energy. This is a much more calm starting environment.
Yeah, and it's great preparation for if they go on to compete for Great Britain at the European or World Cross Countries. They normally start in a pen like this. There's different tactics you can deploy in the pen. You can start in a straight line, just hope everyone gets up cleanly. You can stagger it. We always used to stagger it, and Hereford and Worcestershire I'm from, we used to stagger it, so you have one person to the left, the next person slightly behind to the right, to the left to the right. Just gives everyone a little bit more space, but can't see anyone really looking to do that yet. But these pens do look fairly small.
And you've got to remember as well, like you mentioned earlier, Harrison, a lot of these athletes, you know, some of them might not be runners, club runners traditionally. Some of them might have come from a hockey, a rugby, a football background, but because it's a team event, they've been roped in by their schools. This might be the only time of year they run cross country. I know a lot of my mates would only show up for district schools. They'd get the team points and then off they'd go again, and that'd be the only time of year they ran the cross. And you can see some of the school pens are more full than others, so again that creates a bit of a calmer environment, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I remember those days having to run around the school hall, running around the classrooms. Will you run? Will you run? Will you run? We need the points for the team. You want to go to counties. You want to go to English schools. And that's an added aspect to that competition. A little bit of peer pressure, but positive peer pressure to go out, get fit, have some fun, and go on a little class holiday to Leeds if you're from the south.
They are being held for quite a while here. We saw it in the earlier races as well. Sure, some deep breaths from the athletes as they're brought up to the line by the marshals. Lots of hands on Garmins there, you can see. That's something we only really have seen more over the past few years. Young athletes starting with one hand on their Garmin, ready to start their sports watch, which will track them throughout the race. And you can see there that pen system working perfectly as the athletes through the first 50 metres, still very grouped into their team, their school colours. You can see there at the front particularly, as then this first sweeping corner will be where those changes and those switches around, the mixing of the school and the club vest there will start to happen as the athletes look to take the best racing line through these early stages. Because even though this is a longer race, it's our longest race of the day, 5,330 metres, this will, and we'd expect over the next lap in particular of this smaller field, there will be some quick starters in this one.
Definitely, and if just put it into a bit of context, in the traditional athletics programme, this is the second longest event, it's a 5,000 metres. So this is a very, very long cross-country for these guys. I'm sure a lot of them go and do their local park runs, which are also 5 kilometres, and they're used to the distance. But this is not an easy distance to master. Very difficult. Relies very much on your aerobic capacity, and that's something that these guys will have to factor in with their starts. Also, as you mentioned, the colours, I can't believe how many of them are in actual running vests. I had to run in t-shirts for school, the school PE kit. It just shows how invested some of these schools are in the cross-country scene and this competition.
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking that earlier, actually. I was looking around and I was like, oh, I would have loved to have my school have a school cross-country vest, because I think in some cases, in some schools, cross-country and athletics is something that's pushed to one side. And if you do come from maybe an athletics family, or you, outside of your school, race for a club, a lot of us would have loved to represent our schools.
Most definitely. I remember having to nag my PE teachers to wear proper running shorts, split shorts, rather than the clunky PE shorts that you wear for football and rugby. And eventually, after a couple of years of trying, I think I was allowed to wear them, even in PE lessons at one point when we had cross-country, because I was doing the GCSE and the A-level PE, which has put me down this path. But I think these guys in this field are very, very lucky, as you mentioned, and good to see so many different colours, some of the non-traditional athletics colours out there as well, not your reds and blues and yellows and blacks and greens, and some different colours in there.
Yeah, it's a nice mix of singlets that a lot of the athletes are racing in. You can still see there are some rugby tops in the mix as well. But maybe not split up as early as I'd have thought. I thought maybe we'd see a few more gaps opening than we have through the early stages, but maybe the athletes slightly more hesitant, like you mentioned earlier, before we get into this second field where it is a bit more tricky and tactical, maybe just easing themselves into this one.
Almost sensing some team tactics being deployed. You can see the amount of athletes that are from the same school in the same area. There's 3 at the front, there's 3 in the middle, 2 here, 2 there. As you can see, here's a prime example of it. 3 in the first 4 are the same school. Maybe the coaches have said just go out hard, sit together and see what you can do, and if you win it, great. If you don't, never mind. But good to see a good mix of schools at the front, but also a lot of teammates running together, getting the job done as a team.
Yeah, especially like we mentioned earlier, for some of these senior athletes, this will be their final year and their maybe last opportunity to race alongside their teammates, particularly in a team competition like we're seeing today, have an opportunity to run side by side with their teammates. That's Abingdon School that you can see with the dark navy and then the purple strip through the inside and the white on either side of that. Will Darcy of Abingdon and Quinmill Ingram, the 2 running side by side, holding the front line there.
Mel Ingram, possibly from that Mel Ingram family. I think it's Rowan and Alex, potentially. Mel Ingram, I think they're both at Loughborough. Rowan ran with me at the Mansfield National Cross Country Relays. He was in my team. I think we came 9th. But good to see another member of that family coming through for Abington from Oxfordshire.
And well, this is where the attack was made in the last 2 races, where we see the same kind of pace injected down this back stretch, the slow and gradual, well, fast and gradual incline or decline as they sweep into that steep uphill. They take the corner there. You can see how sharp it is from that overhead shot.
Potentially some athletes in this field from the wider athletics world, but potentially not distance runners as well. We talked about other sports, we haven't talked about the disciplines. No, I've got a friend, Tom. He won this competition in 2013, I believe, for Northampton. He's actually now a 110-metre hurdler. So interesting to see the paths that this can take you down.
Well, like we mentioned earlier, you know, cross-country, I feel, is one of those disciplines, is one of those aspects of athletics that even if you are a sprinter, I remember when I was growing up, when I was competing, even my sprinting friends, well, they'd hate this time of year because they'd get dragged in because everyone would go, oh, Georgia, you're good at running. When my friend was a 400-metre runner, she'd get dragged in and she'd reluctantly take out her shorter spikes and put in the longer ones for cross-country. It would be the one time of year you'd catch her out on the grass. So yeah, a few of these athletes may be making a step up distance-wise, and you know, if you are maybe an 800, maybe 400-metre runner, over 5k on the grass will be a different challenge for you on a Saturday morning.
Pretty grim, I can imagine, for those guys. It's bad enough when you train for it.
Absolutely. Harry Hewitt is the athlete in the red with the green band around the centre of his singlet, who is up there just dropping back into second place now at Bourne Grammar School.
Slight added challenge with the leaves on the grass. Doesn't seem like a big deal, but you finish your cross country, you've got 3, 4, 5 leaves stuck to your spikes, and you might lose a bit of grip in these longer races, and mud starting to appear. The course is generally very good, but where the leaves build up on your spikes and you hit a mud patch, you might slide a little bit.
Yeah,
so something to watch out for in case.
Yeah, so our leading two side by side as they go round that twisty section through the woods for the first time, and they're into this gradual decline as they loop back into the first field. Shoulder to shoulder, the leading pair at the moment. Harry Hewitt slightly edging it on that inside. He's got the inside line here, and he's a confident racer. He's a plenty experienced racer, so I'm sure he'll use his inside line advantage here well.
Possibly a track tactic he's picked up. He was 12th at English School's 1500 metre champs, so potentially that inside line might be what you do when you hug the rail on the inside of the track. Maybe he's thinking, if I can make everyone else run further over 5k, it'll be a lot further than it would be over 15, so maybe that's his reasoning behind that. But he looks pretty comfortable here. The two of them starting to separate at the front of the field. See if they can hold on and extend that advantage.
Yeah, well, it was 60th at the English Schools Championships in March, and this will be a big step up for him position wise, but at district and county level he is used to front running, and he's doing a great job of it so far.
Of course, he's front run on this course as well, which is worth noting. He was first at the semi-finals in this English Schools Cross Country Cup competition in the East Midlands region. He's from Lincolnshire, so East Midlands. He actually won that one, and I believe that was on this exact same course. So, potentially, he knows where to go.
Yeah,
this might play to his advantage.
Yeah, he's got the knowledge of the course, not just the advantage of having the walk around earlier today. He does have the advantage of knowing it inside out and launching a decent attack last time he ran it. It's Will Rabjohn of Queen Elizabeth School who is the athlete to the side of him. These two leading the way through the first half of this race.
Rabjohn's a very decent athlete himself, of course, Northumberland. He was actually 4th, I believe, at the South West Schools. Northumberland I thought was up north, but I might have got something wrong there. But I believe he was 4th at the South West Schools cross country, which says he's got a bit of talent in there. So let's see. This could be a really good finish.
Harry Hewitt now has launched an attack, starting to open the gap up to Will Rabjohn behind him. Does Rabjohn have a response here, or is this a perfectly timed effort from the man who won here the last time a race was held on this course? Just over 10 minutes run. There's still plenty of time for Rabjohn to gain some form of connection with Hewitt up front. Well, that gap is opening. And if he doesn't react soon, you'd imagine Hewitt, with that experience of this course, could run away with it.
Judging by Hewitt's track time, we have about 5 or 6 minutes left to go. So still time for either of these guys to make an attack, or even someone further down the field. You never know in a 5k, really, do you? But I think the track running calibre and the speed he's built up in that track career, it's going to help him on this course. It's fast, it's hard terrain, it's not soft, it's not muddy, it's not overly hilly. There is hills, but it's not the hilliest course in the world, so I think he's got a good chance here. I think he's probably the favourite at this point for me.
Yeah, with that in mind, with those times that you just mentioned in mind, you know, that gap He's opening up slightly, and it does look like Hewitt, who is the slightly more comfortable of the two there, as we just see shots of their faces as they run past and take that loop, that twisting section.
It's Connor
consecutive
Foley.
turns.
Connor Foley, sorry, in third for Tiffin School. He was second at the school's games on the track for the 1500 metres at Loughborough. So another very talented school athlete. 1500 runners love this course, apparently. 2 in the top 3.
Yeah, this course does have that brilliant mix of sections where you can show your speed but also test yourself as a 1500 metre athlete, and like you said, Harrison, those underfoot conditions are perfect for athletes like the man in red leading the way at the moment, who has had a lot of success on the track this season over 1500 metres. 5th at the England Athletics under 20 and under 23 championships, which of course included the World Junior Trials this year, over 1500 metres, and he looks comfortable. He's looking to the side of him, but not behind. He's sighting the corners ahead and where he has to go. He's got a very forward momentum about him. He's not checking back, he's looking forward and he's pushing forward.
And that's what you want to see. And just to clear up if there's any confusion, those runners in the, I think one of them was in the green moving to the outside, they were lapped runners, they were just getting lapped, so no one's overtaken anyone. The order's still the same, just in case you're wondering.
Yeah, this is quite a short course. It's made of quite a few loops, obviously a course of 5,330 metres, but it is made of a few, like we've seen throughout the afternoon, a few smaller fields that then loop into bigger fields. And the athletes, I remember when we did our walk earlier and we were looking at all these letters that they had to link up, like some kind of join the dots picture. It can get quite complicated, but it is a brilliant course, and it allows, really, when you look at them now and you look at the way that Hewitt is just moving very well around this course, there's not too many opportunities where the lead athletes will actually come into traffic. Yeah,
of course. We had some funny conversations with the team earlier, talking about who goes where, A to B to G to...
Oh, a slip there from our leader, Harry Hewitt. And this is the first time we've seen him take a glance behind. He's just compromised there slightly as he takes that corner, which we spotted earlier and said that there might be some challenges on that bend where that footing just gets a little bit more damp and a little bit more overtrodden as the races go on and as the times go on. But he's injected a bit of pace there as he goes past that lapped athlete. And sometimes you find that, don't you, Harrison, when there is, when you slip or where you stumble a little bit, or on those times where you have got an adrenaline filled start and maybe someone elbows you or gets in the way, that then launches a bit of a spark in you to then go and push on a little bit more and give it that little bit of extra energy to regain yourself and sort of narrow your vision back onto the task in hand.
Definitely. It's that adrenaline burst we've talked about so many times today. I remember it happened to me once on a track, got knocked about a bit. Adrenaline burst, I'm on the front of the group with 300 to go and I win the race. Maybe that's what he needed. Maybe that's a little bit of a, come on, you can do this. Get him going.
It's easy to get slightly complacent. We haven't seen it yet from the athletes who have come before, because this has today been a series of races that have all been about dominant leaders who have led pretty much from start to finish. We haven't seen any of them get too complacent, and they've all sprinted towards the line. But it is easy, when you're running your own race, when you're in your own headspace, to get too caught up in just what's going on in your head and not really focus on the fact that you are racing. So yeah, maybe it was a spark that he needed just to regather himself and maybe consider the type of footing that he's got now, especially this segment as he comes down with 150 metres to go. He's injected the pace slightly there again, but this is where he needs to be careful, because there is a tight turn here, and this is a very well trodden piece of the course now, as he'll take the sweeping corner here, the slight uphill, very, very well run that. And he's into 100 metres to go. The leader of our senior boys race, our final race of the day, Harry Hewitt of Bourne Grammar School. the Peterborough and Neem Valley athlete, who is cruising towards the line. What a dominant run. He raises his hand, his finger to the sky, addresses the camera there, and just whizzes through. There's no stopping there, is he? He had energy to go for another 5k, didn't he?
Oh, I don't know about that, but that's a phenomenal run. Let's just talk about the time for a second, because 16:18 on grass for 5k. Of course, you can't compare the times. That's over 5k in 16 minutes. If you're sitting at home going, don't really know what that means, go and do a park run. 16 minutes is good. 16 minutes is solid, and most park runs are on road, and this is on grass.
That's more than solid. 16 minutes and 18 seconds. 5,330 metres for the winner of our senior boys race, Harry Hewitt. And it was Will Rabjohn who was fighting through the first half of that race, and he pulled away. Hewitt launched the attack, but Will Rabjohn came through in the end, 4-second. Connor Foley, who you mentioned earlier, Harrison, of Tiffin School, taking third in the end. Johnny James, William Nuttall and George Hopkins coming through behind them.
Lovely photo there. They do look tired, those three. Particularly Harry in the middle does look tired. He's run hard today, isn't he? It's a good run.
It's a good run, but the way he just didn't stop. No marshals needed to help him over the line. No one needed to marshal him through the funnel. He was straight through. Straight through, looking for his comfortable shoes to get on, get the spikes off, as I'm sure the three of them will now be looking to get a quick change of clothes, get into some warmth. Some individual pictures there, soaking up his moment.
Sure, he wants some food as well after that 5k. I'd be straight to the